Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think the chairman has made it interesting in any case, so we start. I'll try and take lesser time than he has allotted, so that other more distinguished scholars can probably give their points of view in more details. I'll start off with a cautionary word here, and that is the relationship has been moving forward steadily, not spectacularly, as many would expect, but too heavy an agenda for forthcoming meetings may probably slow down implementation due to capacity constraints. These capacity constraints may be related to the government agencies, and so therefore the solution lies in involving more people and more institutions in the whole process, particularly the economic one. Second is that we cannot afford to dump the old ideas and the old projects with an idea to start new ones, because that would be counterproductive. We should therefore build confidence amongst all stakeholders by completing the ongoing projects very speedily, and then simultaneously, of course, start off with the battle procedures for the next ones. And battle procedures, those who have been in the army know, simultaneous actions by all stakeholders. Instead of doing things sequentially, simultaneously, everybody does that. Whenever we talk of India-ASEAN relationship, a certain amount of sense of deja vu overtakes us, that we have talked about these things before. What has happened? What is there to show? Yeah, I think there is a certain amount of truth in that, and that's why the most glaring example of our inability to move faster in consolidating the relationship is the delay in improving the connectivity. Whereas there may be problems in decision making with some of our neighbors, but I, as an Indian, would like to carry out a bit of an introspection. I think we in India have also not put in sufficient energy in executing the projects necessary to develop connectivity. The Kaladan project, which should have been completed by now or nearing completion, is languishing. Railway connectivity to our border with Myanmar is progressing slowly, and the condition of the road from Imphal to Moreh is definitely not flattering. Similarly, while the air connectivity from the metropolitan cities in India to Kuala Lumpur, Bangkok, and Singapore is excellent, connectivity from smaller stations, particularly in the northeast of India, let's say Guwahati, where only twice a week Druk air flight, that too Druk air, starting from Paro, connects it with Bangkok. Otherwise, there is no connectivity there. Leave-aside connectivity to many stations in many countries, in Cambodia, Laos, PDR, Vietnam, for example, is extremely poor. Now, therefore, it's a very serious lacuna that prevents people-to-people contact between India and many countries of ASEAN. Even in the case of sea connectivity, there is much that can be done by linking ports in the coastal cities of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu with ports like Tanjung Puruk in Indonesia and Dawei in Myanmar that is coming up now. Often, when we talk of connectivity, we talk of Northeast India and Thailand via Myanmar, but we seldom talk of connectivity from southern Indian cities by sea. This is a serious lacuna because major industrial activity presently is going on in south of India, and we need to pay attention to that. Ports like Paradip, Visakhapatnam, Kakinada, Chennai, all these need to be connected to corresponding ports nearby, and possibly making Port Blair as a hub for transshipment where required. Now, we also need to give a thought to the challenges which are surfacing now, but which are likely to become serious in coming years. That is, maritime security, cyber security, human resources development, and provisioning of necessary services to the people in the far-flung areas. I recommend that for the Delhi Dialogue 8, we should think seriously on the following issues, besides focusing on implementation of outstanding projects. 1. Maritime security cooperation. You would agree with me that whereas Atlantic was the sea of the past, Pacific is the sea of today, ocean of today, Indian Ocean is the sea of tomorrow. And therefore, it is important that Indonesia's Look West policy should fuse seamlessly into India's Look East policy or Act East policy. Now, continued prosperity of ASEAN and economic growth of India will depend heavily on freedom of navigation and free flow of trade and commerce in the Indian Ocean in the coming years. Piracy has the tendency to resurface, and seaborne criminal activities may surface any time in the future. Besides, disappearance of MH370 and inability to track its flight path accurately after passage of so many months highlights the need for developing an interconnected coastal surveillance network. We should also have commonality of approach to humanitarian assistance and disaster relief in the region, involving joint training of personnel in mitigation and management of disasters in the region. Cooperation between law enforcement agencies, Coast Guard, and the navies. You can very well imagine disaster relief teams located in the Andaman Nicobar Islands being able to respond fastest to any disaster in the Bay of Bengal area or in any of the ASEAN countries. The second issue, which to my mind should be given importance, is the improvement of governance in lesser developed areas. Through a collaborative effort such as building medical infrastructure, educational institutions, tourism circuits, and trading hubs. India has to think of many more modern day Nalandas based on Northeast India and neighboring ASEAN countries. Connectivity, both physical and digital, become important in the coming days. But spreading the digital connectivity will only be beneficial if we simultaneously look after our cyber security. And there is huge amount of work to be done in that. And in the morning, the paper presenters, particularly from our NTRO, has given a very good roadmap of how to go about it. Some of the other things that we can focus on is, one is the green energy for economic development and environmental security, and next one is the sustainable blue economy, which will benefit a large number of people in the coastal areas. Then mutual investments in infrastructures, but more importantly, private sector participation in the IT education. Some of our big companies like TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech, Wipro, etc. should be involved in their, as a part of their corporate social responsibility, otherwise in training people from ASEAN countries or establishing campuses over there to go and train people. That will be an excellent thing, and that will help in actualizing the regional internet grid and shared servers, as was pointed out in the morning, in order to avoid any espionage, etc. We must therefore, to my mind, focus on high impact but low endeavor activities, which will kickstart this cooperation in a big way. The last point in this is the space cooperation. The Prime Minister of India has already made this offer to ASEAN, and I think there is so much more that we can do in terms of communications, joint space satellites, particularly in communication, weather monitoring and surveillance, etc. And the last point, very last point, is that we have now over a period of time built a momentum. Now everybody is positively thinking about taking this relationship forward. We must never permit this momentum to slacken down. Thank you very much.